What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Hope everybody's having a great day or night whenever you're watching this. Indiana Pacers fans, you guys are in for a hell of a season. This team has really been starting to put together a lot of wins lately. The team has kind of been putting on a show, to be honest. Their offense has been on fire, and this is a team that people thought were going to be a lottery team. Right now, it's early in the season. We've only played like 18 games or something like that, but they're the number 4 seed in the East, and there's a lot of good reasons to see why they're the 4 seed in the East, and I'm going to break those down. Before I do that, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please like the video. Offensively, this team is one of the best in the entire NBA. They're number 7 in points per game. They're a young team, so it's good to see that they're number 3 in fast breaking points per game. They get out on the run, they get out on the break, hit a lot of threes in that kind of fashion. The team plays very, very, very fast. They don't sit back and just wait for the defense to get settled. They're young and they know it, and they just run and gun. My personal favorite stat of them on offense is that they're number 2 in assists per game. I think that ties a lot to Tyrese Haliburton. I'm going to get into him in a little bit. But being number 2 in assists per game, that means everybody's setting people up. People are being unselfish. They're making plays for each other, and that's why they're winning so many games lately. And I think that's just a good mark of what a team can be, is how effective they are passing the ball, how much they want to play for each other. So being number 2 in assists per game through 18 games, about a quarter of the season, that's a pretty good mark. Being number 2 in assists per game has allowed them to be number 3 in three-pointers made per game. They splash those things. Obviously, you're going to hit some threes when you have Buddy Hield on your team, but Bennedict Mathurin, going to get into him. That guy is a rock star off the bench. He knocks down a lot of threes per game. Myles Turner is very effective from there. Tyrese Haliburton's effective from there. I think Haliburton, Hield, Mathurin, and Turner shoot like 39.9% from three per game as a whole. So I think those 4 combined are shooting almost 40% from three, which is damn good. So good to see from them. This is my second favorite stat because they're a young team specifically. They're number 1 in fourth quarter points per game. A lot of times you'll see young teams kind of keep it competitive through the first 3, and then the more experienced, better, veteran teams will just take over in the fourth quarter, finish the game, and win. They're number 1 in fourth quarter points. They put up points when they really need it most. That's the most important quarter of them all. You got to come up clutch there. If you play great the first 3 and then stink it up in the fourth, what does it really matter? So I think that that's really a good indictment of how good they're playing and how just the cohesiveness. Being number 1 in fourth quarter points is not easy. So being there for a young team is just blows my mind that they're there. So that's awesome to see. So we kind of broke down a little bit of their offensive ranks. Their defensive ranks, they're kind of just average to below average in most of them. But they're not like bottom 5. They're like 20th in a lot of different categories. I think total defense, they're like 20th or 21st. For a young team, not all that surprised at that, just because a lot of times young teams just are not very good on defense. That's just what it is. But being 20th and then being, a top 5 offense is really that's good enough. That's good enough in the NBA. That's going to win you a lot of games. So I think that's it's okay as they get better. As the season goes along, you'll start to see the defense maybe pick up a little bit, because offense is a little bit easier to get into a groove. Defensively, you're on a string. If one part of that string snaps, then the defense is going to be screwed. So I think as time goes on, you're going to see them get better. But offensively, to be where they're at is awesome. Defensively, they're just keeping up, which is fine enough for now. But we got to talk about some of the players now, because there's really 3 or 4 guys that I want to talk about in particular. I'm going to start with Tyrese Haliburton, because he is their best player on this entire team. And he looks like he's on his way to an all-star game appearance, which makes that Sabonis for Haliburton trade look really good. Honestly, looks like a win-win right now. I loved it for the Pacers when it happened, just because it committed to the full young rebuild. And I love Haliburton as a player. He's averaging basically 20 points and 11 assists per game. 11 assists per game is nothing to slouch at. What makes that 11 assists per game even more special is the fact that nobody else has over 10, and he's leading the league in assists per game as a third-year guy on a team that is all young and new guys for the most part. That's just special. He's the only guy above 10, and like the next closest guy I think is Trae Young at 9.1. He's got a 2-assist lead on the next closest guy. That is insane. And yes, Trae Young is sharing the ball with DeJounte Murray, but that's not the point. Being that high above everybody else is remarkable. So he's well on his way to an all-star game, much deserved. Got a couple more months before that'll happen, but I like the trend that he's on. He's been playing fantastic basketball, shooting the ball very well, setting up his teammates, obviously. Plays pretty good defense for a point guard. He's got a lot of length, so he's doing a really damn good job leading this team. And I think he's personally the biggest reason why they are as successful as they've been so far. Second guy, and I love this guy coming out of the draft because I knew he was going to be a spark plug, 3-point rocket. Bennedict Mathurin has been amazing. He's honestly probably the sixth man of the year right now as a rookie. I don't think that's ever been done. That's just another thing that's going to show how well coached they're being right now by Nate McMillan. I think that's been great. But Mathurin's averaging like 19 points per game off the bench as a rookie, shooting like 42% from three. Coming out of the draft, that's what he looked like he was going to be, is a very explosive scorer. Assists and stuff, I figured that might come as he plays in the NBA and gets more experience to the game. But scoring wise, he's there. He's got it. He's got it all in the bag. He's a bucket. And that's something that this team really hasn't had in a long time off their bench. It was just a scorer straight out the bench. So I think it's nice for them to get that. Third guy I want to talk about here, Myles Turner, beating all the Laker allegations, whatever you want to call it. I hope he doesn't get traded there because I think he's having a fantastic season, and the Pacers really need him if they want to go anywhere in the playoffs or make any noise. He's averaging 19 points, 8 rebounds, and almost 3 blocks a game, basically on his way to maybe winning I think it would be his first defensive player of the year. He's one of the best rim protectors in the last decade. He's really good in front of people too. He can go out on the perimeter if he has to, and he moves his feet pretty well for his size. So that's pretty good. And his rebounds are up from what they've normally been in his career, shooting really well from three. He's just been fantastic. Started thinking about it. How many centers in the East have been better than him this year? I mean, Embiid's missed time, and obviously Embiid is amazing. I'm not gonna take anything away from him. So maybe him, but after that, I don't know who you can't really argue anybody definitively because I don't think Vucevic has been better. I don't think maybe Bam might be able to argue for him. Maybe Jared Allen a little bit, but like I think the fact that you're having to say maybe with those guys doesn't really show that they've been better. I think Turner might be the second best center in the East this season through 18 games. And that is something I did not see coming at all. I thought he was going to be one of those guys that was maybe holding out or maybe just trying to get traded, but he's come out there and he's been balling. What's crazy for me is the turnaround that they've had. They started off 1-4, and then when you see them at 1-4, you're thinking, "Yep, they're tanking. They're going for the Wembanyama sweepstakes, whatever." But since then, they're 10-3, so they're 11-7 on the season, 10-3 in their last 13 games. That's really damn good. They've got wins over teams like the Pelicans, the Raptors, the Heat. They beat the Nets a couple times. They beat the Magic. They beat the Wizards. So like they've got some quality wins on there. So it's not like they're just blowing out the Rockets by 30 every single time. So I thought that was really nice to see that they're winning some games against some pretty quality teams. So it's not like the 10-3 doesn't seem very flukish to me because they're winning games against good teams, or at least teams that we think will be good. So I love the job that they're doing from, top down, embracing the rebuild, but also like they kind of have a decision to make. Do they want to keep this going, or do they want to maybe slow it down a little bit and try and get a higher draft pick? Because, I don't think anybody's expecting them to go NBA finals or anything like that. But I think if you have a young team and you have a chance to go to the playoffs, you take it every single time because the best thing is experience for those guys. What's the point of having, 5 first-round picks but no playoff appearances? I don't know. I don't see the point in that. I've got a couple young guys that look really awesome, like Haliburton and Mathurin, and maybe we can make a playoff push and then make some noise, get our guys some experience. Then you might be able to draw some. I think people are going to want to go play with Haliburton. First of all, you might be able to draw some people to go to Indiana for once, which has never been the case. I think that they've got a really good shot here. I think they should push for the playoffs. Don't just tank it down like the Thunder will do or have done in the past, I should say. I really like what's going on there. The Pacers, but I think by far the biggest surprise in the NBA this season. And it's dope to see so far. 11-7, 10-3 in the last 13 games. It's dope. It's dope. Haliburton it looks like he's on his way to an All-Star game. Mathurin might win 6th man of the year as of right now. And then Myles Turner might make an All-Star game. I don't think anybody had that in their predictions for this year. Maybe the Haliburton one, but I don't think the Myles Turner or the Ben Mathurin ones. So Pacers fans, enjoy the season. I think it's going to be a good one. If the team is really playing well, offense is awesome, defense is getting there. It's good to see. I can't wait to watch more games because, I just love Haliburton and Mathurin. So dope. It's awesome. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please like the video. But shout out to the Pacers. This is an awesome start to the season, 11-7. Let's see where they go from here. Thank you for watching. Peace.